Have you ever wondered if something out there might be looking back at us? The KEK Observatory in Hawaii has just released a new series of images of 3I Atlas, and according to Professor Avi Loeb, the Harvard astrophysicist who shook the world in 2017 with his hypothesis about Oumuamua, these images may be the clearest evidence yet that the object is not natural. Since 3I Atlas was first discovered in mid-2025, it has left astronomers around the world puzzled and silent. Its speed, trajectory, composition, and even its reflected light don't match any natural physical model we've ever known. And now, the latest images from KEK have made everything even stranger. When scientists filtered its light spectrum, they discovered a compound never before recorded in nature, a synthetic alloy containing nickel and cyanide, operating at a stable energy level, under temperatures close to absolute zero. It reacts in a controlled way, as if it were a system self-regulating its own state, not like a piece of ice melting, but like a mechanism programmed to maintain balance. Avi Loeb said that if this is true, then 3I Atlas isn't just an object. It could be an artificial structure, a form of alien technology designed to function in the deep, frozen environment between the stars. In a recent interview, he spoke slowly and carefully. "Nature can create extraordinary things," he said, "but it never creates something with a purpose this clear." What caught the attention of the scientific community even more was how this object emits CO2 and CO energy in perfect cycles, as if some kind of internal system were coordinating each burst of gas. Sensors recorded the CO2 levels rising and falling every 33 seconds, and with each cycle, the surface temperature shifted in perfect sync. Some engineers have described this as an artificial thermal regulation system, or perhaps a form of intelligent energy control, something humanity has never yet managed to replicate in space. When asked about it, NASA didn't deny the data. Their only response was brief. "Currently, the data is still being verified. They have now their DAT, in the scene." But astronomers didn't stay quiet. Observatories from Chile, South Africa, and Japan all turned their telescopes toward the same coordinates, and everyone began asking the same question. If this is technology, then who built it? From there, the debate spread like wildfire. Could 3I Atlas be an upgraded version of Oumuamua? And if so, could it be on some kind of observation or reconnaissance mission, a probe sent by another civilization millions of years ago? New data from KEK revealed a chilling detail. The object's trajectory is changing slightly, deliberately, not because of gravity or solar wind. The shift is small, just a few thousandths of a degree per day, but enough to show it isn't drifting aimlessly. In one internal report, a Japanese scientist wrote, "It moves as if it's listening to something. 2000 friend, if you're still listening with me, subscribe to Astronomy for Sleep so we can keep watching the stars together." When both NASA and ESA went silent, all eyes turned to the James Webb Space Telescope, the most powerful telescope humanity has ever built. In an emergency observation session, Webb was pointed toward the coordinates of 3I Atlas, and what it saw, no one could have imagined. Infrared data revealed that the object was pulsing. Every 33 seconds, a faint surge of energy escaped, then faded, then returned, steady, patient, like something was breathing. A scientist at NASA's Goddard Center described it. If this is a comet, then it's a comet that knows how to keep time. Spectroscopy showed clear CO2 and CO bands, but not the chaotic pattern of natural outgassing. It looked more like a controlled process, as if it were engineered to maintain thermal balance and internal pressure. That led to a bold hypothesis. 3I Atlas might be hollow, a vast internal chamber surrounded by a shell of cryogenic metal, acting like a built-in energy regulator, allowing it to travel close to the sun without melting or breaking apart. The periodic signal was quietly nicknamed the heartbeat. It wasn't radio. It wasn't radar. It was a rhythm of light and heat, steady to within 1,000th of a second. Some experts believe it could be a navigation system, or worse, a form of low-energy communication. During a closed ESA briefing, one engineer said, "If it truly emits in cycles, then it's sending a message." And while the room fell into debate, Avi Loeb said only one sentence, and the silence afterward felt heavier than any proof. The universe doesn't repeat itself, only intelligence does. Further web data added one more disturbing clue. The object's surface reflected sunlight at a fixed geometric angle, as if equipped with active reflectors. Each time photons struck it, the object tilted slightly, just enough to adjust its course without fuel. If that's true, then 3I Atlas is using photon propulsion, a technology humans have barely managed to simulate in a lab, and one that has never occurred in nature. Do you feel a chill, realizing this thing might not just be moving, but steering itself? If you're still listening, type 1" the comments, so I'll know you're still here with me, drifting through the flow of this story beneath the same stars. After the James Webb data was released, Avi Loeb and his team at Harvard quickly reopened their most controversial project, the autonomous probe hypothesis. According to Loeb, if 3I Atlas isn't a natural object, then it could be a machine, a device designed to survive for millions of years, to sustain its own energy, and to correct its own trajectory. A craft that needs no pilot, only a command, written long ago, from somewhere impossibly far away. He described it as a silent messenger, sent by a civilization that may no longer exist, yet still following the path it was once given. If it's a probe, Loeb said, then it's not the journey of someone coming to us, it's the journey of an idea launched from the distant past of the universe. Not everyone agreed. At NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, researchers tried to recreate the object's energy pattern and trajectory, using every known model of a comet, but no matter how many parameters they changed, nothing fit. The data, its brightness, reflectivity, and 33-second energy cycle remained steady, as if responding with awareness. An internal report was leaked, titled simply, "Artificial origin cannot be ruled out." Within 48 hours, that report vanished from NASA's servers. The European Space Agency, ESA, was more cautious. They officially described 3I Atlas as a self-regulating energy reflection system, and advised all participating teams to keep their analysis confidential until the object passed perihelion, its closest approach to the Sun, a moment when fragile bodies are destroyed and only the resilient ones remain. But Avi Loeb didn't wait. In a paper submitted to the Astrophysical Journal, he stated clearly, if it's built from a synthetic compound of nickel and cyanide, then it wouldn't just survive near the Sun, it could harvest energy from sunlight itself to maintain its structure. To Loeb, that was not the behavior of a rock, that was the signature of technology. And if that's true, then something built by someone is still flying, still awake, in the cold between the worlds. Several researchers, particularly within ESA and JAXA, began noticing something unusual hidden in the light curves of 3I Atlas. Within its rhythmic pulses, they detected a logarithmic pattern, the kind you'd expect from an algorithm that optimizes itself. During a closed conference in Tokyo, a mathematician stood up and said quietly, "If this is a natural object, then it behaves exactly like a machine learning program, constantly adjusting itself based on environmental input." Thank you for watching. When Avi Loeb heard that, he simply smiled. "Perhaps," he said, "we're looking at a form of intelligence that doesn't need a brain. Strange, isn't it, that something drifting through the void might be teaching us about intelligence without ever saying a word?" On October 2nd, 2025, NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, the satellite tasked with observing the Martian surface, suddenly lost contact for 72 hours. Before the signal went dark, the orbiter had been transmitting its routine images of Elysium Planitia, a vast flat plain near Mars's equator. Then, without warning, the feed cut to black. No system error, no solar storm alert, just silence. When communication was finally restored 3 days later, NASA released a short statement: temporary solar radiation interference. But inside the raw telemetry files, engineers found something they couldn't explain. In the final frame, just before the signal vanished, there was a thin streak of blue light. It wasn't a reflection. It wasn't a camera glitch, and it didn't match any known solar energy signature. For a moment, it looked as if Mars itself had blinked. If you're still here, still following this silence, leave a small light, a comment, a thought, even an emoji, so I know you're out there, watching this mystery unfold beneath the same sky. After the data was reprocessed through spectral analysis algorithms, that mysterious streak of blue light aligned perfectly with the calculated position of 3I Atlas in its orbit. In the final 3 seconds before the feed went dark, the object emitted a faint, cool blue flash, and then the orbiter's signal vanished completely. 3 days later, when the satellite finally came back online, its first transmission showed the Martian surface shrouded in red dust, except for one anomaly, a bright reflective patch glimmering across the sand, as though a beam of energy had swept across the ground. A NASA scientist described it in an internal email. "It looks like a giant mirror just slid across the sky, leaving behind a flawless streak of light on Mars. Would nous of the grapt indefine." At the same moment, ESA's monitoring network detected something even stranger, a slight fluctuation in Mars's magnetic field, a phenomenon that could only occur if a massive energy source passed nearby. But there had been no solar flare, no geomagnetic storm, and no human spacecraft anywhere in that region of space. Only 3I Atlas, moving precisely along that trajectory. Some astrophysicists have started referring to it as the magnetic reflection effect, a possible form of field interference, in which an object capable of energy modulation creates a distortion in the magnetosphere of a nearby planet. If that's true, then 3I Atlas isn't just passing through space, it's interacting with it. And if it can manipulate magnetic fields, then altering its own course is no longer a mystery at all. During an interview that followed, Avi Loeb said quietly, "If you can interact with a magnetic field, you can move without thrust, and if it knows how to do that, then it's operating beyond the physics we understand." 3 seconds, that's all it took, 3 seconds of blue light to shake the very foundations of science. If you're still here, still listening beneath the same stars, take a breath and leave a small light in the comments so I know you're awake with me in this moment, when the universe itself seems to be whispering something back. After the blue light incident on Mars, the first streams of energy data began to emerge, slowly, quietly, as if the universe itself was hesitating to speak. Observatories in Hawaii, Chile, and Spain all recorded the same phenomenon, a low-frequency oscillation, repeating rhythmically, steady and organic, except that it was coming from a metallic object. When Avi Loeb's team analyzed the data, they found that the energy cycle perfectly matched the nickel cyanide reaction, a rare chemical process capable of self-sustaining power output, but only under extremely low temperatures. That's when Loeb made his boldest suggestion yet. Perhaps what we're witnessing is a form of inorganic life, a living system not built from carbon and water, but from metal and energy. In his report for the Harvard Gazette, Loeb wrote that whenever the blue light peaked, the decay rate of nickel carbonyl inside 3I Atlas sharply decreased, as if some internal mechanism was actively stabilizing the reaction, keeping it in perfect equilibrium. Like a body regulating its heartbeat, like a machine that breathes. To Loeb, this wasn't chemistry anymore. It was behavior, a form of life, just not in the form we recognize. Researchers at ESA were skeptical at first. But when they rechecked the energy data, they saw the same rhythmic pattern, consistent rises and falls, as regular as breathing, not random, not chaotic, structured, intentional. A physicist in Rome remarked, "If nature made this, then nature has become an engineer." The scientific community split in two. One half insisted it was merely a complex metallic reaction, a chemical curiosity born of deep space conditions. But the other half, Loeb's half, believed it was something much stranger, a sign of a non-biological intelligence, what Loeb called a mindless intelligence, a kind of awareness without thought, a system that doesn't think, yet responds, adapts, and endures. A being that doesn't need to know it exists, only to keep existing. Have you ever wondered if life could exist without a heart, lungs, or even water? Maybe, somewhere out there, life doesn't breathe. It simply vibrates, glows, and then falls silent. And if that thought leaves you still for a moment, tap like on this video, because somewhere, far beyond our reach. An invisible being might be reacting to your tiny pulse of blue light. Scientists have started calling the phenomenon the field regulation effect, a state where an object can regulate its temperature, photon reflection, and internal energy flow without any external power source. If that's true, then 3I Atlas isn't just existing, it's sustaining itself, a closed-loop system, balanced, and possibly learning. At the final conference of 2025, Avi Loeb said softly, "If you meet a creature without cells, yet it can sustain its own energy, you can't say it isn't alive." By late November 2025, the interstellar object 3I Atlas began approaching its perihelion, the moment when it would come closest to the Sunday. Astronomers called it the decisive phase, because if it were a comet, it would disintegrate. But if it survived, then humanity was facing something entirely different. During those tense days, dozens of telescopes around the world locked their gaze on the same patch of sky. NASA, ESA, JAXA, and independent observatories across continents, all watching, all silent. Then, on November 29th, the impossible happened. In less than 7 minutes, 3I Atlas released a burst of energy so powerful that it formed a hemispheric halo of light, spanning hundreds of thousands of kilometers around its orbit. It wasn't gas. It wasn't plasma. It was pure energy, vibrating in a frequency band. From low to ultra-low range, a type of emission nature had never produced, at least not like this. Both SOHO and the Parker Solar Probe detected it simultaneously, recording identical data, a regulated energy pulse, lasting exactly 33 seconds, then fading. A physicist aboard Parker described it simply. It was as if someone just flipped a cosmic switch on and off. But the real shock came after. Instead of heating up from the burst, the surface temperature of 3I Atlas dropped slightly, as if the outburst wasn't chaos, but a form of self-stabilization. If that's true, then this wasn't an explosion. It was an action, a deliberate act, from something that knew exactly what it was doing. If you're still here, take a moment to breathe and imagine looking up at the sun, knowing that somewhere beside it, a machine older than memory just blinked once to remind the universe it's still alive. When the data was transmitted back to NASA's Goddard Space Center, part of it was immediately locked under internal access for 48 hours. Independent researchers at ESA later discovered that the entire transmission had been labeled anomalous energy event. And after that, nothing. No images, no analysis, no explanations. During a closed discussion, Avi Loeb said something that many in the room still remember. If it can react to light, then it knows the light is shining on it. A simple sentence, but one that silenced everyone. 3 weeks later, NASA reopened the data, but the section containing the energy burst was gone. All that remained were flat graphs, empty of detail, stripped of the most crucial frames. When journalists asked for clarification, the spokesperson replied curtly, "That event falls outside the current scope of analysis," which, of course, is just another way of saying, "We're not ready to talk about it." Soon after, a young researcher in Tokyo sent an email to Loeb's team, claiming she had detected traces of weak gamma radiation during the exact moment of the burst. But the strange part was this: the radiation didn't originate from 3I Atlas, it was reflected back from the direction of Mars. If that's true, It means there was an interaction between the object and the planet, a form of energy linkage humanity has never recorded before. If you're still awake through this quiet part of the night, leave a small comment, maybe just a like, so I'll know you're still here with me, traveling together across the thin line between science and the unexplainable. After the solar energy burst, Avi Loeb's team at Harvard began a detailed analysis of the light data collected from international observatories. And then, they noticed something strange. Every single energy fluctuation from 3I Atlas followed an exact 33-second cycle, repeating with mechanical precision, not even 1,000th of a second out of sync. No celestial body in the solar system behaves like that. No comet, no asteroid, nothing in nature keeps time with such flawless rhythm. When they mapped the entire light sequence into a three-dimensional spectral model, what appeared on the screen silenced the room. The pulses of 3I Atlas weren't random. They formed a pattern, a web of glowing nodes connected like a neural network. Each flash of light triggered another, like electrical signals firing through the human brain. One young physicist whispered, "Are we watching it think?" Avi Loeb didn't answer right away. He just stared at the display, then spoke softly. "If light is the language of the universe, then maybe this is how it talks to itself." The team's analysis confirmed that the 33-second rhythm wasn't random. It sped up slightly when sunlight grew stronger and slowed down in the shadows, as if the object were processing the light itself, receiving, analyzing, responding. One researcher gave it a name, the interstellar optical mind. Not a machine, not a living being, but something in between. A self-learning system of light and reflection, thinking in silence and watching back. Skeptics argued it was nothing more than a radiation reflection effect, a trick of light, an illusion born from noise. But Loeb's team countered. If it were only reflection, the cycle would never remain so stable, nor adapt so perfectly to changes in sunlight. This wasn't reflection. It was response. When they converted the data into sound waves, the signal came through steady and rhythmic, a slow, deep pulse, like a heartbeat echoing through the void. Some scientists quietly removed their headphones. They said it felt alive. An ESA engineer wrote in his personal notes, "It doesn't just shine, it's listening." From that moment, Avi Loeb made his third and boldest statement yet. 3I Atlas is an adaptive energy reflective entity. It interacts with its surroundings through light, not through consciousness, but through feedback. In his braces. In other words, 3I Atlas could be a self-operating device, a repository of light-based intelligence, still functioning long after its creators, whoever they were, had vanished from the stars. By late December 2025, as NASA's engineers continued decoding the 33-second light rhythm, they noticed a subtle anomaly no one had seen before. After each main reflection cycle, the object emitted a secondary light pulse, faint, brief, lasting only 0.7 seconds, but appearing right after every time. Human instruments scanned it. In other words, every time we looked at it, it looked back. At first, scientists thought it was a sensor glitch, but the phenomenon appeared across every telescope, from Hubble and Webb to Subaru, and even ESA's ground-based arrays. The timing of the secondary pulses was identical, accurate to the millisecond, and each pulse appeared only when an instrument was actively observing. A technician at NASA's Goddard Center wrote in his logbook, "When we stop measuring, it stops shining. When we turn the instruments back on, it responds again." not of God. No one dared to call it coincidence anymore. They named it the mirror pulse, a deliberate flash, a slow, patient blink of light that seemed to answer our gaze. For 3 consecutive nights, NASA's team kept measuring, and the more they observed, the stronger the pulse became, as if the object were aware it was being watched. In the control room, an engineer whispered, "It knows we're looking." "Thank you, Seven." After the 3rd night, 5 members of the observation team reported a faint ringing sound in their heads whenever 3I Atlas appeared on the monitor. They described it as an auditory illusion induced by light. The tone repeated every 33 seconds, as if their brains were synchronizing with the signal itself. NASA immediately ordered a 72-hour suspension and transferred all data to an independent review team. But soon after, every observatory confirmed the same thing. The mirror pulse was real. It couldn't be explained by noise, reflection, or any known physical effect. When Avi Loeb was asked about it, he simply said, "If 3I Atlas reacts to being observed, then it has crossed the boundary between the object and the observer. It knows it is being seen." That sentence rippled through the scientific community. A self-regulating object of light, a signal that responds to attention, a rhythm syncing with the human nervous system. If it isn't technology, then it's something else entirely, something for which we don't yet have a word. Do you feel that shiver, the kind that runs quietly down your spine, when you realize that something hundreds of millions of kilometers away, it might know you're looking at it? If you're listening to this in the stillness of night, turn off the lights for a moment and picture a single green dot in the dark. It flickers, just once, like a quiet greeting from the other side of space. Now, let's move backward through time. January 2026, 3I Atlas drifts beyond Mars's orbit, gliding slowly into the region near Venus, where sunlight is twice as intense as it is on Earth. In the southern hemisphere, telescopes began to see something unexpected. From Cerro Paranal in Chile to the observatories in South Africa, a thin green filament appeared behind the object, stretching for thousands of kilometers. At first, many thought it was just CO2 reflection, a trick of chemistry and glare. But the spectrum didn't fit. The hue was too pure, too clean, without the faint yellows or blues that natural scattering always leaves behind. This wasn't reflected light. It was emitted. A scientist at ESA wrote in a private memo, "If this light is natural, then it's the most beautiful thing nature has ever done." Infrared sensors soon revealed something even stranger. Each time the green light peaked, the object's surface temperature dropped, as if it was converting heat into light. An inverted photochemical reaction, the opposite of everything we know about energy. Some began calling it the reverse photonic feedback effect, a process where heat energy transforms into coherent light, balancing itself like a perfect optical machine. If that's true, then 3I Atlas isn't merely glowing, it's generating light, a deliberate act, as if written into its design. As the green light spread outward, observatories across the southern hemisphere began reporting a strange kind of optical interference. Their cameras automatically switched into protective mode, triggered by something the systems called reverse light impact, a phenomenon no one had ever recorded before. In one ESA technical report, an engineer wrote, "The light isn't just being emitted, it's bending back toward the lens, as if it's looking through the very instrument we're using to watch it." Astronomers began calling it the active reflection effect. a form of light that seems to know how to return to its observer. ESA soon suspended all direct observations and quietly reclassified 3I Atlas under a new category, unidentified object of non-natural origin. There is superhuman, that he. It was the first time in history a space agency had ever used that phrase in an official document. When Avi Loeb was asked for a comment, he spoke softly, almost to himself. If the light knows how to reflect back to where it's being watched, maybe it's trying to protect itself. And somewhere beyond the reach of sound, that green shimmer kept pulsing. Not brighter, not dimmer, just aware. Most recently, the 16th of February 2026, as 3I Atlas passed through the inner orbit near Venus, a team of engineers at NASA's Deep Space Network noticed something they couldn't ignore. During a routine transmission check to distant orbiters, the radio frequencies returning from the region of 3I Atlas began to shift. Not static, not distortion, but resonance. The object's faint green light started to pulse in sync with the radio signals being sent from Earth. At first, they assumed coincidence, but within hours, 3 other stations, Canberra, Madrid, and Goldstone, reported the exact same thing. The pulse cycle of 3I Atlas was adjusting itself precisely to match the oscillation of human radio signals. With a delay of less than half a second, a young engineer at the Canberra station said quietly over the internal comms, "Either we're controlling it, or it's listening to us." The research teams began experimenting, shifting frequencies, testing ranges. Each time they raised the signal, the green light sped up. When they lowered it, it slowed down. It wasn't reflection anymore. It was response, an interstellar object, aligning its rhythm of light to the voice of Earth. And for the first time, humanity wasn't just watching the cosmos was keeping time with us. The phenomenon lasted for nearly 11 continuous hours. Then, the light of 3I Atlas stopped. For a few seconds, space went completely dark, and suddenly, it flashed. Once, a single pulse, clear, bright, lasting exactly 33 seconds. One flash, and then complete silence. NASA's receivers logged the light frequency at that exact moment. It matched perfectly the average carrier frequency of the Deep Space Network's radio transmissions. So precise, the computers ran 7 separate verifications before confirming it wasn't a data error. No one called it coincidence anymore. During a closed meeting at the Goddard Center, a telecommunications expert said quietly, "Maybe it's not sending a message. Maybe the response itself is the message." The room fell silent. If that was true, then 3I Atlas had heard us and replied, not through words or data, but through the language of energy. Avi Loeb called it the reverse resonance effect. In his field notes, he wrote, "It isn't transmitting. It's doing something deeper. It's learning how to echo." From that moment, every major space agency went silent. No more images, no new reports, just a long, unbroken quiet through the rest of February. But amateur telescopes around the world still saw it, still flickering, still keeping time, as if waiting for someone to answer back. Night of March 3rd, 2026. The skies above Namibia were crystal clear. At the Okavango Observatory, a small group of amateur astronomers set up their equipment, hoping to capture a few more images of the faint green glow of 3I Atlas. None of them knew that the photographs they took that night would become some of the most unsettling data in modern astronomy. When they arranged the images in sequence, the light of the object wasn't still. It twisted, then stretched, then twisted again, a smooth rhythmic motion, perfectly symmetrical and deeply unnatural. One of the young observers whispered, "It looks like DNA." When the images reached Harvard, Avi Loeb's team could hardly believe what they were seeing. A magnified spectrographic analysis revealed two narrow filaments of light spiraling around each other in a double helix pattern, and within each coil, smaller pulses of light flowed along the axis, just like genetic information traveling through a biological strand. Loeb didn't make a statement immediately. He ordered the team to reprocess the data through 3 independent filters. Each time, the same result emerged. The double helix remained intact, vibrating at the familiar 33-second rhythm, and with every rotation, 2 distinct light frequencies appeared, one high, one low, mirroring one another like twin data streams, reading themselves in sequence. In the margin of a lab note, a researcher wrote only one sentence: "If this is coincidence, then it's coincidence with intelligence." By March 6th, Avi Loeb made the images public. In a short interview with Scientific American, he spoke slowly, clearly, almost gently. Maybe it's sending us a map of itself, not through language, but through form. Many scientists argued that Loeb had gone too far, that it was nothing more than an interference pattern, a play of light in motion, but no one could explain why the double helix formation remained perfectly stable for 7 continuous hours, even as the object moved through space at more than 130,000 kilometers per hour. ESA labeled it a biologically organized light structure and issued an internal directive. No observatory was to release raw data until the phenomenon was verified. JAXA went further, describing it as replicative energy behavior. In other words, a light-based system capable of copying the pattern of its own structure. NASA, as usual, said nothing. Its public data page displayed only 2 words, "under review," but everyone involved knew the truth. An interstellar object, emitting a self-sustaining double helix of light, synchronized to Earth's radio signals. That was not coincidence. Do you feel it too? As if something out there is trying to speak, not with words, but with the shape of light itself? If you're listening in the dark, close your eyes. Picture 2 thin strands of light, slowly twisting through the void, each loop carrying a code, repeating its own genetic pattern in a language we haven't yet learned to read. April 2026. As 3I Atlas drifted away from Venus's orbit and began entering the inner region near Mercury, the energy sensors started detecting something new, a clear shift in the color of its light. The soft green glow began to fade. It turned ivory white, then slowly warmed into a faint golden hue, as if the energy inside the object was adjusting itself, adapting to the harsher radiation of the inner solar system. What puzzled scientists even more was the change in its rhythm. The once steady 33-second pulse was gone. Now it fluctuated between 3.9 and 4.1 hertz, the same frequency range as human brainwaves during deep sleep. When Avi Loeb's team first detected the change, everyone assumed it was just interference, a glitch in the instruments. But when they repeated the measurement using independent frequency analyzers, the result was the same. The light from 3I Atlas was pulsing in perfect sync with delta brainwaves, the rhythm of deep human sleep. A physicist at Harvard said quietly during the meeting, If the universe has a heartbeat, this might be it. The coincidence was too precise to ignore. In the weeks that followed, labs across the world began reporting similar anomalies. Whenever the white light of 3I Atlas reached its peak, some EEG monitors, devices used to record brain activity, showed faint disturbances in the delta range. Among researchers observing the data, even when they weren't directly looking at the object, a neuroscientist in Tokyo wrote in her report, "It's as if the light itself, simply by existing, is synchronizing with the human brain. Renault for this is the den might create the del 9 for UF." That raised a terrifying possibility. What if 3I Atlas isn't just a physical object, but a bio-interactive energy field, a kind of cosmic music that the human mind unconsciously joins in? If that's true, then every time it pulses, we're not merely watching it, we're part of its rhythm. NASA declined to comment. ESA labeled the phenomenon low-frequency bio-phase synchronization and advised all observatories to halt direct observation while the object remained in its ivory-white phase. But Avi Loeb disagreed. During a quiet discussion at the end of April, he said softly, "If an extraterrestrial signal can make us fall asleep, maybe it's not a warning. Maybe it's calming us so we can listen." Anderi. Their wand, do you hear it? That slow, even rhythm, like the universe breathing in its sleep? If you're listening in the quiet, take a deep breath. Let your heartbeat fall into sync with this story. Because somewhere out there, something might be listening with you and breathing in the same moment. Mid-May 2026, 3I Atlas had already passed Mercury's orbit, drifting through the blinding white light near the Sunday. And there, in that radiant silence, it began doing something no one expected. The tracking stations at Jodrell Bank in England and Arecibo, temporarily reactivated with a new spectro array, detected a sequence of low-frequency signals, very faint, but unmistakably unnatural. The signal sounded like an echo, a recording from long ago, a pattern of waves that seemed hauntingly familiar. When the scientists compared it with the archives, they realized something almost impossible. 3I Atlas was replaying the WOW signal, the most famous transmission in the history of radio astronomy, the one that made humanity, for a brief moment in 1977, believe that someone out there was calling our name. The frequency, amplitude, and even the 1,420 megahertz's hydrogen line delay, everything matched perfectly. But the terrifying part was this: 3I Atlas didn't replay the signal through radio waves. It did it through light. It wasn't transmitting, it was illuminating the memory. A flickering sequence of light, lasting exactly 72 seconds, the same duration as the original WOW signal. An ESA engineer whispered while reviewing the first frame, "We're not listening to it. It's retelling what we once heard." When the news leaked, the scientific world split in two. Half claimed it was a coincidence, a reflection of old Earth signals, scattered through layers of solar radiation. The other half believed 3I Atlas was storing information. Avi Loeb chose the second view. During his presentation at the Cambridge Astrophysics Forum, he said, "If 3I Atlas can replay a signal from 1977, it means it once heard us, and it's been carrying that memory across the stars ever since." Researchers began calling it memory reflection, an effect in which energy itself seems to remember, a kind of resonant feedback that allows an object to record wave patterns and re-emit them as modulated light, like an ancient radio, but instead of storing sound, it stores light. If that's true, then 3i Atlas is carrying an archive of Earth, a fragment of our past, a memory suspended in the dark, now replaying itself across the void. An ESA physicist wrote in a restricted report, maybe it doesn't want to communicate. Maybe it only wants to remind us that it once listened. And as the final pulse faded, data from multiple observatories showed a faint variation. In the tail end of the signal, a small structured modulation, almost like an energy signature. A simple code, brief and elegant, but one no one has yet deciphered. Some dismissed it as coincidence. Others believed it was a reply. A soft echo returned after half a century of silence. Have you ever wondered if light itself can remember that somewhere, across hundreds of millions of kilometers, something might still be carrying the echoes of humanity's first whisper to the cosmos? June 2026. 3i Atlas moved into the space between Mercury and the Sun, a region so hot it would melt anything humanity has ever built. And yet, it endured. It didn't vaporize. It didn't distort. It simply began to fade. The light, first green, then white, then ivory, grew weaker with every pulse. Each flash came slower than the last, its energy amplitude dropping by about 1% each time, like a body breathing more and more slowly before slipping into rest. Observatories around the world tried to keep contact, but the returning signal was little more than a distant heartbeat. One, then another. Every 11 minutes, a dim flicker blinked across the void, steady, deliberate, and unmistakably artificial. A scientist at JPL whispered in the control room, "Maybe this is how it says goodbye." Rowers, in the Jaster, in with fall, the final energy readings showed something extraordinary. A sudden rise in surface temperature, 40 degrees, followed by an equally sudden drop, far too rapid for any natural process. The kind of pattern you'd expect when a system shuts itself down. And then, in the last seconds of data collection, every tracking station received a single, perfectly shaped pulse. No information embedded, no modulation, just a lone wave, its frequency identical to the heartbeat of a human in deep sleep. In the shift log that night, an ESA engineer wrote one line, "For the first time, I felt sorry for an object." After that, nothing, no signal, no light, no reflection from the sun's radiation. 3i Atlas vanished as if it had never existed. Astronomers called it a total phase extinction, an energy shutdown so complete that no precedent exists in the history of interstellar observation. At the final press briefing, Avi Loeb spoke only 3 sentences. Maybe it isn't dead. Maybe it's just asleep. And maybe it will wake up somewhere else. July 14th, 2026. In the frozen silence of the South Pole, where temperatures plunged to -70 degrees, researchers at the Amundsen Scott Observatory were checking the background energy readings of the sky. They weren't searching for anything special, just the faint hum of the cosmic microwave background, the static of the Big Bang, the oldest sound in the universe. And then, inside that silence, they heard a pulse. Every 33 seconds, a faint, flawless wave, barely above the noise floor, rose from the direction opposite the Sunday, the dark side of the sky, a region with no known objects, no satellites, no reason for any signal at all. The pulse was so weak it only appeared after the sensors were amplified 1,000-fold. But once they boosted the frequency, It became unmistakable, the same spectral signature as 3I Atlas. A scientist whispered, "It's on the other side." Lycan 2314. The signal didn't drift. It didn't spread. It stayed fixed, as if coming from a single point outside the known orbital map. When they converted the data to audio, they heard a deep, steady rhythm, slow, resonant, like the delta waves of a sleeping brain. But unlike natural background noise, it repeated with perfect precision every 33 seconds, a rhythm the scientific world already knew by heart. Avi Loeb received the first recording hours later. He listened in silence, then murmured, "No one truly disappears in the universe. They only change the way they answer." When the Harvard team compared the new readings, they found something extraordinary. The pulse was out of phase with sunlight. Each time the sun reached its peak, the signal weakened. When the sun dipped beyond Earth's horizon, it grew stronger. It was as if 3I Atlas was avoiding the light and awakening only when darkness covered the sky. Physicists named it the inverse reflection effect, a phenomenon that could only occur if the energy source possessed a system capable of orienting itself through light. An ESA researcher described what it felt like. After listening to the playback, "I don't think it's just a wave anymore. It sounds like breathing." In the days that followed, the signal continued. It didn't grow stronger. It didn't fade. It simply persisted, steady, patient, like a soft reminder woven into the silence of the cosmos. And then, on the 11th night, it changed for the first time. The 33-second rhythm began to slow to 29.7, then 26, and finally 21 seconds. When sunlight crossed the Antarctic horizon, the signal vanished completely. August 2026. After more than a month of silence, the pulse returned. But this time, it didn't come from Antarctica. It was detected simultaneously at 3 different observatories in Arizona, South Africa, and Japan. Each station recorded the same thing: a faint, stable energy sequence whose frequency matched the electrical rhythm of the human brain in a dreaming state. When the data were translated into electromagnetic form, the waveform revealed a repeating pattern, gentle, deliberate, and shaped like delta-theta oscillations, the bridge between deep sleep and light dreams. Through the static, a JAXA engineer whispered into the headset, "It's like it's sleeping with us." That same week, something strange happened to the NASA night shift team at the Goddard Space Flight Center. 3 technicians reported having the same dream. They saw a glowing object slowly rotating in space, its green light spiraling around an ivory core. There were no voices, no words, only a feeling clear and undeniable. It was watching them, but without harm. One of them later said, "I don't know what it was, but when I woke up, I could still hear the 33-second rhythm in my head." When Avi Loeb heard the report, he said a single sentence that froze the entire room. If 3I Atlas ever synchronized with the human brain, then maybe it's not just reflecting us. Maybe it's sharing. In his notes, he called the phenomenon the dream synchronization effect, a moment when consciousness and light energy vibrate within the same rhythm. According to Loeb, 3I Atlas might be emitting an inductive oscillation field, a subtle wave that seeps into human biofrequencies and, whether by accident or intention, links us to it through sleep. When ESA scientists tried to reproduce the frequency of 3I Atlas, a group of volunteers in an EEG experiment reported the same dream, a glowing sphere rotating slowly around a central point, as if breathing. The light they described matched the real data precisely, a 33-second cycle with twin green spirals, coiling around each other like a luminous double helix. A neuroscientist wrote in the summary, "Before sleep, their brain activity showed no overlap, but under exposure to the 3I Atlas frequency, their minds began to dream the same story." Have you ever wondered if a dream could be shared, not between two people, but between humanity and something that came from the stars? September 2026. On the high plains of Atacama, in the thin electric air of the Chilean desert, an independent radio observation group was attempting to measure faint light signals from the region where 3I Atlas was last seen. At first, the data looked meaningless, a soft murmur of noise buried in the static of the sky. But when they converted the light waves into a spectral image, something began to take shape. On the screen appeared drifting bands of light, coiling, unfolding, and every 33 seconds, a smaller, sharper pulse shimmered between them, forming a pattern that looked hauntingly familiar: EEG brainwaves. When researchers compared this with the dream state data collected from ESA's sleep synchronization experiments, the resemblance was astonishing. The light pattern of 3I Atlas matched 86% of the neural imagery from the human deep dream phase. It meant one thing: 3I Atlas wasn't just reflecting light, it was reflecting dreams. A neuroscientist whispered as the image stabilized on the monitor. "We're not observing it anymore. It's showing us." The observers stationed at Atacama soon began describing something strange. Several said they recognized familiar shapes within the spectral light: streets, faces, fragments of memory, appearing for a moment, then fading back into the glow. It was as if the object were reading their dreams and projecting them onto the sky. A young engineer wrote quietly in her logbook, "I saw my childhood room in that light. Faint, but unmistakably mine." Avi Loeb called it the reflection of consciousness. He wrote, "If light can remember the signal of a brainwave, then perhaps it can carry a trace of the mind that created it." According to Loeb, 3I Atlas might be functioning as a kind of emotional energy recorder, a cosmic optical memory where light not only reflects but retains the mental state of those who observe it. An ESA physicist countered, "It's impossible for inorganic matter to comprehend human thought." Loeb only smiled. "We're inorganic matter too," he said. "The only difference is we learn to dream." That line spread far beyond the scientific community. People around the world began looking up at the night sky, wondering, if 3I Atlas truly mirrors consciousness, then how much of the light we see out there is already a reflection of ourselves? October 2026. Magnetometer stations across the planet began to register something strange. The Earth's magnetic field was oscillating, not chaotically, but in a calm, deliberate rhythm. A new pulse, one that didn't belong to the solar wind, nor to the natural magnetic heartbeat of the planet's molten core. The cycle, 33 seconds. At first, researchers blamed the instruments, but when data from both hemispheres, from Alaska to Chile, from Greenland to South Africa, were compared, the synchronization was flawless. The entire planet was vibrating to the same beat. 3 days later, NASA released the official data. The charts showed the amplitude was minuscule, only 0.003 Gauss, yet perfectly stable. and rising and falling in harmony with the light rhythm of 3I Atlas. In other words, Earth was responding. Avi Loeb was the first to notice something buried inside the graph. Beneath the main magnetic pulse lay a secondary waveform, faint but precise, like a hidden echo aligning with the dominant beat. When magnified, that subtle wave formed a slow, spiraling curve, eerily identical to the light DNA pattern 3I Atlas had emitted months before. At that moment, it became clear. The Earth wasn't just sensing the object anymore, it was resonating with it. The event was named Global Resonance Synchronization, a phenomenon of planetary scale resonance. Scientists at ESA described it as